Hi everyone, today I have a HIIT workout for you that uses a similar format to ones that you have seen. It's broken up into 3 circuits. In each circuit, I'm going to give you 3 exercises, and you'll go through them using an interval structure of 30 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. When you finish a set, all 3 exercises, you get to rest for 30 seconds before repeating that set. In total, you're going to complete 3 sets of each circuit. When you do, you then get a full minute to recover before we move on to the next circuit. For equipment, we are going to challenge ourselves with the weight, so I want you to go heavy. Now, I'm using a pair of 20-pound weights, but you're going to pick a weight that works for you. You're also going to need a stepper or a step bench if you have a longer one. I'm using one with adjustable risers, and for some circuits, I will use more than others. For most exercises, adding more risers is going to make it harder. There are exceptions to that though, like when we are sitting down on it. So before each circuit, I will always let you know the setting that I have mine on if you want to follow that, or just do what works for you. Also, if you don't have a set of heavy weights, you just have a single one, that's okay. You can do this with just one single weight. As with all workouts, you want to make sure you're properly warmed up beforehand. I have a few warm-ups on my channel that I have linked to below. Stop or modify as needed throughout this workout. Before each circuit, I'm going to give you a preview of the exercises, and when I do that, I will also show you how to modify so that you'll know how to tone it down as we go. If you're new to my channel, I don't play music in the background because I want you to be able to listen to whatever you like. So if you don't have a playlist or a podcast or a TV show queued up, you might want to get that going. And with all that said, let's get to a preview of the first circuit. So for my stepper setting, I'm using 3 risers. That is not the highest setting, it's one below that, just a little FYI. So we're going to start with a heavy squat with a pulse at the bottom. I'm going to use both weights racked at my shoulders. If you'd rather just hold on to one at your chest, do that, kind of like a goblet squat. And we're going to add in a pulse at the bottom. So weight in your heels, your hips hinge back as you lower down into that squat. Little pulse, driving your feet into the floor, and then you stand. As you stand, you're thinking of bringing the hips forward, squeezing into the glutes. So you'll notice in all 3 circuits, the first exercise, we go heavy, and then we ditch the weights for the second 2. Put the weights away. You have 10 seconds to rest. You're not going to need them for the next 2 exercises. We're going to use our stepper. It's going to be an uneven squat hop and then an up and over. So one side, hop up and over, other side. When you do that hop, you don't have to get super high. Your feet kind of barely come off the ground and then you land back in that uneven squat position. If this gets to be too much, then just pulse and set a hop. And you have 10 seconds to rest and catch your breath. So we're going to do a squat jack onto the stepper, and then we're going to hinge open into a sumo squat position. So from your wide squat, 1 foot pivots, give me a pulse back, and then you're going to jack onto that stepper, and then we're going to do the other side. So you're just alternating what foot is the pivoting foot. If the squat jack onto the stepper gets to be too much, just alternate your pivoting sumo squats. Okay, now I'm going to give you 30 seconds to rest. So when you complete a set, all 3 exercises, little longer recovery period. We're going to go through that twice more. So just take inventory. How did that stepper setting feel? If you need to adjust your risers, if you have an adjustable riser stepper that is, then now would be the time to do it. You're going to find your heavy weights. We're going to go into that heavy squat, adding in a pulse at the bottom. So we want to make sure that our knees are tracking in line with our middle toes. We're not letting our knees cave inwards to a kind of knock-kneed position. So in that respect, we're really engaging through our glutes and our abductors. Now, as your hips hinge back, there's a slight hinge forward with the torso, but we are keeping an open chest, so you're broad across those collarbones. And rest. You can get rid of those weights. We won't need them for the next two exercises. We have that uneven squat hop with that little up and over hop. Hop, up and over. So these are quick, small, light on your feet. Final few seconds. And 10 seconds to recover. So we're going to do the squat jack onto the stepper, and then that sumo squat hinge, kind of pivoting open. I'm just starting on the stepper to make it easy to get into it, so I can make sure my feet are in the right position for then hopping back onto it. Alternate sides when you do that sumo hinge. So you'll notice I'm never straightening my legs all the way in this one and really the previous exercise as well. To modify though, come all the way up to straight legs, okay? After you do, instead of that sumo squat pulse, you can come up to stand. Okay, set 2 is done. You get 30 seconds to recover here. We're going to go through those 3 exercises just one more time. If you need longer to recover, hit pause on the video. I want you to try to keep the 30 on 10 seconds rest structure when we're within a set, but in between sets, if you want longer recovery time, take it. Heavy squats coming up, rack both weights on your shoulders. If both weights is a little too much, just hold one at your chest. Hips hinge back, reaching your tailbone long. Now I'm cueing weight in your heels because I don't want your knees to jut out way far in front of your toes, but weight is not just in your heels. I want you to ground down through your toes as well. There's a connection between that big toe and activating through your glutes. Ten seconds to rest. Put those weights down and out of the way so you don't trip on them. Uneven squat hop, up and over. So these are quick, you're light on your feet, getting that heart rate up. You have about 10 seconds to go, keep it up. And 10 seconds to rest. Okay, final exercise in this circuit, and then you'll get a full minute to recover while I show you our next moves. We got that squat jack to that sumo hinge. Feet wide on the floor, pivot open, knees tracking in line with those middle toes, even when you're in that sumo position. So when you hinge open into your sumo, that opening is coming from your hip joint. And done. You have 60 seconds to recover. I'm going to show you our next 3 moves. going to start off this circuit with deadlifts using both weights, or if you want to modify, just one. And a heads up, I have my stepper on 4 risers now. I went to the highest setting because we will be sitting on it for the next move. So for our deadlift, we are hinging at the hips. So the movement is initiated by your hips sliding back. Yes, there's a little bend to your knees, but this is not a squat. Now, we're trying to maintain a neutral spine as we do this. So the shape of your spine at the bottom and the shape of your spine at the top, it's the same. The angle is just changing. So I want you to make sure that you're engaging through your back muscles so that you're not hunching forward. You're open across those collarbones. Put the weights away and get them far out of the way. We're going to do a squat jump to a sit. So start in a full seated position on the bench. And then we're going to come up, squat jump. Now make it powerful. So it's powerful, explosive on the squat jump, and then control it back, come to a complete sit. Now, if your range of motion does not allow for you to come all the way to seated, if this is not working for you, then I just want you to give me a regular squat jump. So you can ditch the stepper and you do not need to come down that low. And rest. So we're going to do up and overs, kind of like in the first circuit, but taking out that squat jump. So these are going to be quick. We're just going to hop up and over, bringing opposite hand to tap the top of that stepper. Now, if your hand is not making physical contact touching the stepper, don't worry, okay? I care more that you're staying open across your chest and not hunching than I do about you actually touching that stepper with your hands. This is just a cue to help you stay low. And you have 30 seconds to rest. First set is done. We're going to go through that twice more. So grab those heavy weights. You're going to start standing with your feet about hips distance apart. Hip hinge. Now keep the weights pretty close to your legs, okay? It's almost like you're sliding them down the front of your thighs and your shins. If you let them dangle way far in front, then you are going to round through that upper back, and we do not want that. So don't just focus on the lowering. I want you to think about how you're coming to the top. It's the hips coming forward and a squeezing of the glutes as those hips drive forward. 10 seconds to rest. Ditch the weights and get them out of the way. Don't want you to trip on them. Full seated position, and from this full seated position, we come into an explosive squat jump. So it's not about how many reps you get in, especially on this one. The next exercise, yes, I want a little speed. This one is about explosive movement and then controlling it. Ten seconds to catch your breath. Up and overs at the beeps. Let's go. These are quick, side to side. Now, if these get to be too much, give me 3 and then stand up for a second. Another 3 and then stand up. The reason I'm saying 3 is so that you stand up on the opposite side every time. Keep breathing, keep moving, you're almost there. 30 seconds to rest. We're going to go through that just one final time. We're going to start at the top with those deadlifts. Grab your weights, roll the shoulders back so you're brought across those collarbones. We're engaging through the abdominals as those hips hinge back and drive forward. You have 10 seconds to rest. Put the weights in a safe position away from your mat. We're going to come to a seated position on that stepper. From the seated position, we'll come to that squat jump. Again, if it's a little too low, if it's not working for you, just give me regular squat jumps. And rest. One more exercise in this circuit, and then we'll already be on our final block of exercises. Can't talk. Up and overs coming up. Let's go. Final 30 seconds in this circuit. These are quick, up and over, up and over. Your thing is staying light on your feet. We're low in this position, but we're not rounding forward, so you're thinking of reaching your tailbone back. Last few seconds, almost there. Woo, and done. Final 3 exercises coming up. Circuit, and I'm down to just 2 risers on my stepper, so I have it at a lower setting, just a heads up. We're going to have one weight at our chest and one between our feet as an anchor. You're going to give me a shoulder press and then a sit-up, lowering and lifting back up. So again, squeeze that weight between your feet. That's going to lock yourself into place so that you can go back with the weight staying touching your chest the whole time. Now, when you press it up overhead, I want you to notice what's going on with your rib cage. Try not to puff open through the ribs. So you want to maintain that abdominal connection. All right, and ditch the weight, get it out of the way. We're going to come into burpees, and at the bottom of our burpee, we're going to jack our feet onto the stepper. Now, if that seems like it's not going to end well for you, don't worry about it. You can just jump your feet out so that they're straddling the stepper on the floor and eliminate the jack, or you can move the stepper out of the way altogether, up to you. So for these burpees, we are not adding in a push-up at the bottom. That is coming up in our next move. Ten seconds to rest. We're going to do up and over uneven push-ups. So one hand's going to be on the stepper, one on the floor. You'll do a push-up and then you'll just walk it up and over to the other side. So your push-up isn't going to be as deep as it would be if both hands were on the floor because we have that uneven staggered position. So don't worry so much about lowering your chest as far as you might if, say, we were on our knees modifying without the stepper. Feet can be a little wider than usual to help keep your hips as level as possible, accounting for that uneven hand position. 30 seconds to rest. All right, first set is done. We're going to do that twice more. Now, a note about this weighted sit-up coming up. I want you to think of rolling your pelvis away from your thighs. So Think of your hip bones going towards your bottom ribs as you initiate that sit-up, okay? So don't think about staying completely flat through the lumbar spine, that low back area. Especially because we have a lot of weight right out at our chest, there is a little, and I don't like to use the word tuck, but there is a little bit of that motion just through the lower spine. I still want you to stay really open through the chest. Ten seconds to rest. Make sure those weights are at a safe place. Get them out of the way. We're going to do those burpees, jacking our feet onto the stepper. Now, the purpose of jacking our feet onto that stepper, by elevating our feet, we are increasing the challenge for our shoulders, but it's admittedly incremental. So if the coordination isn't happening or this just feels awkward, don't worry about jumping your feet onto the stepper, okay? Just give me a regular burpee. And rest. Up and over push-ups coming up. If these aren't working for you, you can always ditch the stepper and you can just give me regular push-ups, either from your feet or modifying on your knees. You could try doing the up and over push-ups with your knees down, but because you have to kind of rotate side to side, I find that it bothers my kneecaps. It's not particularly comfortable for me personally. Let's make sure that we are keeping a long spine, which means a long neutral neck. So your gaze is not at your feet. Think of reaching the top of your head towards the wall in front of you. And 30 seconds to rest. Okay, we're going to go through that just one final time, and then you are done with your workout. Using one weight as an anchor, we'll hold the other weight at our chest. We're going to come into those sit-ups with the shoulder press. So grab the weight at its ends. So you're going to exhale as you roll back through the pelvis, sit up, and one shoulder press overhead. Exhale, lower. Now, if it feels more natural to inhale as you lower, you can absolutely do that. I'm just cueing the exhale because it's a little easier to connect to your abdominals on the exhale, and because we have the weight on our chest, that might be beneficial for you. As long as you're breathing, though, you're doing it right. Ten seconds to rest. Get the weights out of the way. We don't need them again. Burpees with that jack onto the stepper coming up. Hands on the floor. Feet straddle the box to start. If you need to eliminate any of the jumping, just stand instead of doing the squat jump. And you can always step your feet back to a plank instead of jumping them to a plank. And 10 seconds to rest. All right, final 30 seconds of work coming up. It's going to be those up and over uneven push-ups. One hand stepper, one hand floor. Hands are still about shoulders distance apart. Feet can be a little wider than your shoulders if it helps you maintain a good connection to your abdominals and keep those hips a little more steady. And done. Awesome job. Hope you enjoyed this workout. If you did, you know the drill. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I post new workouts here every Monday. I'll see you next week.